Hello again, Zach. Welcome back.
Hey Gavin, good to see you again.
Good to see you too. Haven't seen you since December 2021.
Oh, has it been that long? Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, it's
That was,
interesting.
that was close to before everything went really wrong in the markets.
Yeah, I mean, wow, since then, so much has happened, right?
But before we get on to that,
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about something that happened as a result of the video, as a result of the episode we recorded. I got a comment in the
Okay.
YouTube comments. I don't know if you saw this, but somebody was
Okay.
outraged. There's a sense of outrage after our conversation. And I'll quote the
Oh,
comment. I'll quote the comment. The level of the host's ignorance is appalling. He thinks anything spelled bin is a Malay middle name, since he mixed up his first and last name. And what's more funny is the fact that Zek did not answer that question at all. I mean, firstly, all I did was ask the question, what does the bin in your name mean? Yeah, I thought
right. Yeah.
I was being quite reasonable and ethnically sensitive in simply making this inquiry. But some
Yeah.
keyboard warrior, presumably, well, I won't say what, but some keyboard warrior was sufficiently moved to express his outrage at my
Oh.
appalling level of ignorance. So I don't often get angry in the YouTube comments, but I quite enjoyed
Right.
that.
I mean, it's funny because you're in Malaysia and like, I don't know.
Yeah, so I
It's
have
kind
a
of a weird
the
comment.
problem is I have a little bit of knowledge, and I know that when I see
Hmm.
bin, that's often what it means.
Yeah,
I was just
exactly.
checking with you if the same applied. Clearly it
Yeah,
didn't.
and we're in the general same area, so it's just a casual question,
Yeah, I thought so. But anyway, that's my appalling level of ignorance.
right? Oh, I would like to take credit, like on your show, that I'm the reason that now you're showing your face.
Yes, you did make that point last time that I should start doing some videos. So I've only done a few, it's just to add a little something extra to the
Yeah,
podcast. But I still think audio is the best medium for the long form conversation because it means I can organize it well, edit out all the
yeah,
rubbish. Whereas these are much more casual. It doesn't matter if we talk over each other, stumble over words, all the rest of it.
right, right. Yeah, and you require a lot of editing for the long form, right?
Yeah, sure. And so since the last time we spoke, one of the things you said you were going to do is get your AUC up to 250K
Right, yep.
progress report.
Okay, so I did want to do initial deposit in my last quarterly call. So that was in June. But there were a lot of confusion around topping up, and I think it's really copier unfriendly, so I couldn't do that. So I didn't top it up. I am aiming to do a top up at the end of the year. Okay, there is one problem. It's not a problem. It's just a kind of I don't know what to call it. So if you're based in the UK, you have insurance for eToro, and that's up to like $1 million or something like that. Um, I'm based in Singapore, and we are under the Cyprus jurisdiction. So I only get coverage of up to I think it's like 20,000 euros. So it's not a whole lot of coverage for that. Um, I was thinking about it. It's a bit risky to just like throw everything back into eToro if knowing that that's my coverage. But I mean, we'll see what they. I mean, I've been talking to eToro about see what we can do after that.
Interesting, because your idea was
Yeah,
that you wanted to show you had skin in the game.
exactly. But also because I don't know if you know Pari UK. That was a company a long time ago called Pari UK. It was a brokerage, right? It's an FX brokerage, been around like super long time. I had funds in there, and it collapsed. So, and I was lucky. I can't remember what the UK insurance is called, but there was some coverage there, so I got my money back. But I didn't realize the importance of like insurance until something like that happened. And they've been around a long time, like really good risk management program and all that shit and all that stuff, but it still failed. So anything can happen in the market is the market. So now that I know the coverage is much less than I hoped, I'm like, what
Well,
do I do now? I'm not sure.
It's interesting that you bring up that topic because I was going to ask you about something that's in the news in Singapore,
Okay.
and that is three arrows.
Okay. Okay.
Can you tell the viewer who are three arrows, what's happened to them, and to what extent do you know those guys?
Okay, I will be careful of my words because I'm in the industry. We are all quite small. We know each other, so I'll try and be as tactful as I can. So Three Arrows is one of the biggest funds in the crypto space, and this is in the world, and they're based in Singapore. What happened was they took a few bets, and the bets didn't pay off. And because they were so leveraged, the company basically failed. They have come out to say and apologize for what they've done, but a lot of money was lost, and the way they handled it was a little bit no, it wasn't very nice because what happens very suboptimal, very suboptimal. That's a good phrase, man. What happens is that some clients actually put money into into their system, and what they're going to do is they're going to trade, right? They took the client's money and paid off their own debts, which wasn't. I mean, it's tricky legally, and everyone would like think that that's like something that legally it should cover, but there's like some intricacies to that, so they could. And so that wasn't very nice. And the blow up was kind of big because they are one of the biggest in the industry, and this is not just in Singapore. This is like in the world. But yeah, so it's a pretty big deal that they failed. And a lot of people had exposure to them as well because they thought they were the largest, best crypto company or crypto trading company in the world. So they had a lot of leverage because of that. So they went to places like Celsius, what was the other one? Voyager, things like that. They just basically said, "Can I borrow money from you uncollateralized?" And they said, "Sure," because you're Three Arrows Capital, likelihood of you failing is low. So that exacerbated the kind of the DeFi collapse, and that's also why crypto has been so suppressed recently. So that did happen, and it's very, very unfortunate. But I don't know what to say about that, man.
Well, Singapore is a very small place, and you work in that space, so presumably you've had run-ins with them, and you know them personally.
I mean, we've crossed paths before. I wouldn't say they know me because again, I'm nobody in that world. But definitely people know of them, and we know of what they do and they're traders. And I knew someone from there, but yeah, I won't talk too much about it. I want to be sensitive to my my boss and my work.
Just one last thing then. One recurring subject on the podcast is the Korean food stuff, kimchi. Do you know how kimchi fits in with what they were doing?
The kimchi spread? Is that what they were doing?
Yeah. It was one of the things. Yeah. Kimchi premium. Can you explain that?
Okay, so this is something unique in crypto, and so in Korea, because it's a controlled currency, there is a premium on the price of Bitcoin in Korea versus the price in, let's just say, I don't know, Binance, right? There's a difference, right? And that's known as the kimchi spread. Way back when I was doing this arbitrage as well. This was in 2017, I can't remember. There was a sushi spread as well, so that existed. Just premiums over certain currencies because it's hard for them to move money across. So that spread existed. But yeah, so if you have enough banking relationships, I guess it's easier for you to move the money around and at a low rate such that you can arbitrage that way. But for most people, that's difficult name possible,
Yeah. Okay, well, look, that's enough on Three Arrows.
Yeah.
One thing you were going to tell us about is what you're up to outside of eToro. There's some interesting thing you're about to reveal without kicking your camera.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, exclusive to Copy Traders podcast, I've been working on a project and it's been quite fun, very painful, but incredibly fun. It is around the concept of soulbound tokens. So I don't know, like Gavin, you and me, when we are on eToro, right? And even Felix Flags or whatever, we have so much difficulty getting views on YouTube. And the question is why? Because we put out like really good content. Right? And for me, the question was really around like people getting views, people who are full of. Am I allowed to cuss on your show? Is that fine?
Sure, far away.
Yeah, okay. So they're full of crap or full of shit, sorry. So they're absolutely full of shit and they are grade A assholes if you like. They tell you, oh, buy this coin because you're going to 100x or whatever nonsense, right? And for me, I look at that, you look at that, and I know other people look at that and that's weird. But if you're a beginner investor, you just come in the industry, you just click it, you just follow it, and you believe that these guys are the gurus and the gods or whatever have you. So we're coming out with this concept where we use blockchain to verify their accounts to see how much they are holding in their accounts and if they're actually making money. That's it. That's the entire concept of what we're doing. I'm starting with crypto as a like minimum viable product, and we're going to see how that goes. If people like it and people like, I don't know, I need people to pay for it as well. So it'll be interesting to see how we monetize. I haven't figured that out, and honestly, I just built it because it was fun.
It sounds fun, and verification is the way forward and all. But how do you get access to that information in the first place?
Yeah, so that's interesting, right? So I'm familiar with crypto, so I'll just talk about crypto. Any decent exchange in crypto, especially, has read-only access API keys, which means I can read your account, but I can't access it, I can't trade, I can't transfer, none of that. I can only read. And there's only certain pieces of information I need to verify, right? One is what's your balance, how much do you have inside, and that's about it. I don't want to keep the information because that's your private information, but I will store it. I will show it on my website, and if you choose to take it down, that's on you. So we will send something called a soulbound token to your crypto address, and that will stay with you forever. You can't transfer it out. You can't say, "Oh, I create 5 different accounts, but I run 5 different strategies." None of that, because that's a dirty trick in the industry, right? And it will because it's so bound to you. It'll just stay in. It won't move.
Okay, so forcing people to not only talk the talk but walk the walk.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's something very close to your heart.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't understand why like certain YouTube content creators don't get more views. Like even yourself, like you do like really good work. You talk to us, find out about strategies and things like that. But we don't get any views. Like, so we'll see. It's interesting, and I'm having a lot of fun doing it, but it's tricky as well.
Okay. Yeah. What else are we going to talk about? Tell us what's over your right shoulder.
Oh gosh. Yeah, so my wife and I are big Star Wars fans. In fact, like I have cats with me, so all my cats are named after Star Wars characters. My oldest cat is named Emperor Palpatine. Second one is Obi-Wan Kenobi. I have a Tigger Boba Cat, and I have a so they're all Star Wars characters. Yeah. So we're huge Star Wars fans.
Cut this video. I have to delete all this content.
Why?
That's a bit embarrassing.
It's fine. I'm an open book about it.
Yes, you're not easily embarrassed. That's one of the good things about you. You're very open and, you're kind of an open book. You want to remove all the BS, even if it comes to being honest about your Star Wars fixation.
I don't know, man. I don't think there's anything to hide. It's not. I mean, everybody has their quirks, right? So, what are you gonna do?
How much time have we done? What did I see? Can you see?
I cannot. Can you?
Still haven't worked out the easiest for me. I've got a couple of other notes here, but they're all kind of eToro related. Can we just talk about them anyway? And if we've got time, we'll include them in the video.
Okay, yeah. Before we do that, can I give a shout out to my project that I'm doing? Because I want people to kind of. I'm looking for a few beta testers, so if anybody's interested and they listen to this, that'll be great. Yeah, so the website is called notadvice.financial. So yeah, just go to that website. They'll have some details there, and by the time this record comes out, I think it'll be out.
You couldn't get notfinancial.advice. That would have been better.
Yeah, I wanted that, but they didn't have that. So I just rearranged the words.
Very
It's a
good.
terrible name, right? But I don't know. I had fun doing it. So.
And what sort of data testers? Tell us about their
actually,
experience level
right.
and
None at all. As long as you have a Binance account, you're willing to get verified, or you are someone from eToro who wants to get verified. Oh, sorry, you're already verified. But I just want to put you on the platform because when I do the marketing stuff, I also do want to direct people to eToro. So I'm gonna put some eToro people out there as well. So if you fall into any of those categories, I'm happy to work with you.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, eToro stuff. Let's go.
Okay, well, let's just run through them quickly then. Sinopec was one of your biggest positions. That's going to be delisted in the States. You own the Hong Kong listing. What's the effect going to be?
I think it's already priced in. Like I've been holding Sinopec for a very, very long time. And as all has gone up tremendously, Sinopec has just not moved at all. We've gotten some dividends out of it, so there's some returns, but for the most part, it's not really moved. So for me, I don't think the effect is major. There's a reason why I sold half of it because I wanted a bit more exposure to the price of oil. As oil was going up, Sinopec doesn't move, so you go into something else. So I bought Energy Transfer just to make sure I catch that move. But to me, it's still a solid business. It's owned by the sovereign government, so likelihood of failure is very low. Giving out great dividends, so it doesn't really affect me when I look at that.
Do all the people who were holding the American entity get stock in the Hong Kong listing?
I believe depends on your brokerage. I haven't looked into it that much, so I believe you have to talk to your broker. I'm not sure. I gotta be honest.
Okay. Next question. RSX was another thing we talked about that you were holding.
Oh my gosh.
You also mentioned in December you were wary of the geopolitical situation at that time. I listened back to the episode, in fact, and there was lots of stuff you said, which seems very wise, to be honest, with hindsight. And the invasion of Ukraine began towards the end of February, and there wasn't much noise about it a couple of months earlier. In a few weeks leading up to it, it started to gather pace in the news. So I'd say you are probably more sensitive to the geopolitical situation than most from an investor point of view.
Yes, I was. For sure, I was. I was more exposed. It was one of my largest holdings, actually.
But you dealt with it in time?
No, I did not. I have to admit, I did not. So I did post about this in my Q1 investor call. So what happened was that I was looking at all the research, right? So I listened to a lot of people, or I subscribe to a lot of stuff. There were plenty of people who are still in Russia, and these people are people who I listen to and stuff like that. So leading up to that geopolitical mess, the consensus between all of them who I followed was that Russia will probably not invade. We were all wrong. And the second that happened, I got out because I was like, shit, I'm wrong. Get out. I didn't hold on to it and hope that it'll come back. I was just like, okay, I was wrong. Just get out and leave. And the effect on my portfolio, if I did the math correctly, is I think about 6% of my portfolio.
Can I just say something? I think your hand movements are causing your camera to focus in and focus.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So I think Yeah, so I think that caused like 6% move in my portfolio. So if you think about that, it was a major, major impact on my portfolio. So I was wrong. But, you make bets as investors and you hope it plays out, but sometimes it doesn't. So this is one of those cases that it didn't work out.
You say you subscribe to a lot of things.
Yeah.
What's the one macro thing that you watch or listen to that you would recommend to the viewer? If you
Okay.
had to pick one,
If I had to pick one,
probably not a good idea, but if you had to.
Market Huddle is my favorite. Like it's easy to listen to because they're really not nice guys and they just chat. It's quite fun. So yeah, Market Huddle. If you have to choose one, it would be that.
In our previous chat, you stated that there were no effective hedges in the market, bonds,
Yep.
precious metals.
Yep.
That was in December. I wonder how you feel about it today. The likes of bonds and precious metals have come down a lot in price since then. Do you still see them as ineffective hedges?
Very, very much so, unfortunately. Yeah, so everything's down, right? Oh, except oil and commodities. Commodities, you can argue this, but it's come down recently. So it's a very it's difficult to say, but sorry, not to say differently. Hang on, let me rephrase that. Okay, there are effective hedges in the market now that it's where we are today. But it's something that I think you need a little bit of market timing, and I don't believe in that, so I wouldn't do that. So effective hedges in the time, let's say December till today, utilities were definitely one of them. But you would have to catch the correct market timing.
But from this point forward,
too hard, man. Too hard. Way too hard.
It is hard. It's a crazy, crazy scenario we're in. Nothing is obvious.
Yeah, I mean, I have a few plays that I think are obvious. Like I bought Wire. I think I mentioned it during the last Singapore PI conference, roundtable. That was, I think, it's an obvious bet. So I bought Wire. I think oil going higher is quite an obvious bet. So things like that do play out. The rest are pretty hard.
Yeah.
I sold on Intel, and I gave up on Intel.
Not financial advice, of course.
Yeah, not advice financial. Yes.
All right, let's leave it there. Cheers, Zach. Best of luck.
Thanks, man. You too.